Welcome to the November 15th, 2021 Select Board meeting. In accordance with an act relative to extending certain into law by Governor Baker, tonight's Select Board meeting will be conducted remotely via Zoom and will not be open to the public for physical attendance. The meeting is being recorded, live streamed, and cable broadcast by the Easton Community Access Television, which is Comcast 98 and Verizon 23. And it will be on ECAT's website at This meeting is closed caption for the hearing impaired. If you're watching on your computer, you'll see a CC button on the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. If you're watching this at home and you have a question or a comment, you can email the board at selectboard@easton.ma.us. If you're watching from an electronic device, please pose your question on the Q&A portal. Please remember to include your name and street address for our minutes. At this time, I'd like to ask each select board member to state their name to ensure that we have a quorum.
Craig Barger.
Mark Lamb.
Jamie Stebbins.
Jennifer Stacy.
And Dottie Fulgenetti. So the first item on our agenda meeting today is Purpose 3 of Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with respect to all town and school bargaining units, and to meet in a joint executive session with the Easton School Committee for the same purpose, if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares, to return to open session. So we'll do a roll
Keep fading out, Dottie.
to return to open session. And after I get the vote in a second, we'll do the roll call vote. So did you make the motion, Craig?
So moved.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Barger and Lamb.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And Fulgenetti, yes. So you have the login credentials to get into the executive session. We'll log out of this one and we will be back in probably an hour. Thank you. Okay, everyone, we are back. We have Craig Barger, Mark Lamb, Jamie Stebbins, Jennifer Stacy, and me, Dottie Fulgenetti, back. So we have a full quorum to continue on with the meeting. We are going to go right to the public hearing for the poll hearing. Craig, do you want to read the hearing notice for that?
Absolutely. The Select Board of Easton, as licensing authorities pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 166, Section 22, will hold a public hearing via remote participation using the Zoom platform on Monday, November 15th, 2021 at 7:15 p.m. to consider an act on a petition, Massachusetts Electric Company, to install underground cable in the public way on Alderwood Drive to serve 6 Alderwood Drive, in accordance with the petition for plan number 30291714 dated October 22nd, 2021, as shown on file with the Select Board's office.
Terrific. So do we have, we do have someone here from National Grid.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Thank you
Absolutely.
for being here tonight, Tim. So we, I'm sorry, I just lost my place. I'm having trouble with my second screen blinking on and off here. So we have the application from Mass Electric to install underground cable in the public way. And David Field, our DPW director, has reviewed the application. He has no objections to the plan as submitted. And all abutters have been mailed a copy of the hearing notice. So this is to bring the underground electric to our new school, which is really exciting. And Tim, did you have anything that you wanted to add or say about that?
Certainly, yeah. I can go over the installation again briefly. So as previously stated, National Grid is petitioning for approximately, I believe it's 50 feet of duct crossing over Alderwood Drive from existing manhole 1-4, crossing onto the property of 6 Alderwood. And again, this is for new service to number 6 Alderwood.
Do we have any questions from any of the board members? No. Okay, this is pretty standard, so we're used to this. And if somebody would like to make a motion to hold on a second, to why am I stuck here? I've just lost my place on here. That we would approve, we accept this petition for the manhole and duct petition plan 302-91714 to install the underground cable in the public way.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Roger and Lamb, back to you, Craig.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. All right, thank you. Thanks for being here tonight, Tim.
Thanks,
No
Tim.
problem. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, back up to the beginning of the announcements and proclamations. The town offices are going to be closed for training from 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Friday, November 19th. They'll have a delayed opening. The fire department will be on site to conduct a fire drill, train staff on basic first aid, and demonstrate how to use the automatic external defibrillators, otherwise known as AED, and fire extinguishers. The offices will resume normal hours and be open to the public after 11 a.m. Connor, did you have anything you wanted to add to that, or is that self-sufficient?
No, that covers it. We're just doing all hands on deck training on some public safety stuff we have not done since the lockdowns, and thought it was a good time to start getting back into a routine of these trainings.
Okay, terrific. So next up, our next timed meeting is 7:20, and we are right on schedule. Craig, do you want to read that public hearing notice?
Sure. In accordance with Chapter 40, Section 56 of the general laws, the Easton Select Board will hold a public hearing via remote participation using the Zoom platform at 7:20 p.m. on Monday, November 15th, 2021. The hearing will include a brief presentation on the issue of allocating the local property tax levy among the 5 property classes for the next fiscal year. Interested taxpayers will have the opportunity to present either oral or written information on their views. Those wishing further information may contact the Select Board's office.
Terrific. Thank you. Welcome, Robbie. Nice to see you again.
Hello, how's everyone doing?
Very
Good,
good.
Robbie. You're on the beach again, Robbie?
I am.
So it feels like we just did this. And,
It does.
And if you want to walk us through this and let the people at home know how we arrive at these opportunities for the tax base.
Okay. Do you want me to start by reading the letter from the board?
Sure.
Okay. So the letter dated November 8th, 2021 to the Select Board. Single-family values for fiscal year 2022 increased 5%. Condos increased by 8%. 2 and 3 family homes increased by 6%. Commercial industrial property values did not change. This is not unusual because most commercial industrial properties are under long-term leases. Assessed values have been adjusted to reflect market value as of January 1st, 2021, and are based on sales activity in calendar year 2020. The overall value of the town increased by $201,829,435 from $3,940,485,400 to $4,142,314,835. That is an increase of roughly 4%. The formula for setting the tax rate is the amount to be raised divided by the valuation base times 1,000. The amount that the town is allowed to raise under Proposition 2.5 is the constant in the formula. If values are high, the rate is proportionately lower, and if values are lower, the rate is proportionately higher. The town must raise the amount voted by town meeting regardless of whether values rise or fall. Classification recommendation. The commercial industrial personal property percentage has decreased slightly from last year. That is due to residential having more growth than commercial, industrial, and personal property, and the increase in value for residential properties. It is the recommendation of the Board of Assessors to remain with a single tax rate and not to adopt either the residential or the small commercial exemption.
And Robbie, I believe you had a presentation with some of the key
I do.
factors going on, right?
Right. I'm going to share the screen right now, if that's okay.
Sure.
I got a small PowerPoint. And let's see. That I believe is the one. Okay. Setting the fiscal year 2022 tax rate. Easton by the numbers. FY 2022 assessments are based on qualified sales in the 2020 calendar year. As of January 1st, 2020, the average single-family home assessment was $512,400. Two-family average assessment was $462,700. The three-family, $451,600. And condominiums increased to $268,000. New growth for FY22 came in at $707,275. Looking back at last year's growth was $707,265. Diff growth for FY22 is $37,866.44, making a cumulative total of $38,731.56. That's for FY21 and 22. The excess levy capacity is $7,248.53. The next slide is how we calculate the levy. You take last year's levy amount, add in the 2.5%, add in growth, and you get a subtotal of 61,305,269. The levy ceiling is 103,541,503. That means you could raise with an override up to $103,541,503. $541,503. After you figure the levy limit of 61,304,269, you add in the debt exclusion, which is $2 million for this year is $443,129, which gives you a total levy of $63,747,398. The debt exclusion, which is broken up by two projects, basically the junior high and the high school of just over 1.8 million, and part of the elementary school of $613,450. The levy composition. So in 2021, the residential and open space was 88.2594%. For 2022, it's 88.3447%. The commercial industrial personal property, which is CIP, for 2021 was 11.7406%, and for 2022 it's 11.6553. That's a difference of 0.0853%. $2020 assessment appreciation, that was in the letter. Single family went up 5%, condos 8%, and 2 and 3 families 6%. 5-year average, 5-year value and tax amount. The increase in value for each year has ranged between 14,700 to 27,200. The increase in taxes has ranged from $227.55 to a high of $418.33. 2022, this is assuming a shift of 1. The next screen is like communities. If you look at that screen, the communities with the little star, they have a split rate, which means they have the commercial, industrial, and personal property has a rate higher than the residential. Taking a look at the difference between the 2020 and 2021 tax bills, except for Sharon, which had a huge increase, they all ranged right around the same amount. A low of $157 to a high of Sharon of $816. Most of the towns were right around up where we were, which was a $274 tax increase for 2021 over 2020. Excuse me. The final slide is taking a look at the tax rates. If you look at the shift, the 2021 tax amount for Easton was $7,614. If we wanted to stay as close to that as possible, that would be a shift of 1.25%. That would be about an increase of $10 for residential. But looking at the same average price for both residential and commercial industrial personal property, that would shift raise the commercial industrial personal property from $7,885.84 up to $9,858.58. an increase of just under $2,000.
Rob, could I jump in here? I think this is, it's great to have this data because one of the questions the board gets, I'm sure the assessors gets, is why, we just looked at that table of like communities, and these other communities who are economically similar to us actually do have similar single family tax bills, but they have more overall revenue to fund programs because they have split tax rates and businesses pay a higher rate. You look at Foxborough that has a split rate and their taxes are within a few $100s of ours for a residence, but they also have an increased rate for business. So if you go back to the slide you just showed us, go forward, then in Easton, the CIP shift on the left is the operative column. We're looking at a tax rate next year of $15.39 per $1,000 in value, which is actually a slight decrease from the current year. Tax bill would go up based on value. If the town and the board wanted to consider shifting the tax rate more to the commercial side in order to reduce that pressure on residences, to meaningfully shift it. So you're looking at $7,800 for a $512,000 home. If we were to drop that to $7,363, you would need to increase taxes on business by 50%, right?
Right.
So in order to provide a small amount of fiscal relief to the overwhelming share of the tax base, you would need to put a significant increase on the minority of the tax base, which is the CIP. So I just think that's really helpful to actually see those real numbers and what that translates to. That just because of the fact that the tax base is dominated by residential, you don't have a ton of choices there.
That's all for me, unless anyone has any questions.
Does anyone have any questions from the board or comments?
So the recommendation is to remain at the split, not have a split rate.
Right, to remain at a shift of 1.
Mark, questions?
Not so much questions, just clarification. I mean, there was a lot of information here, a lot of numbers, and it's very dense material for somebody who doesn't stare at this every day, to be perfectly honest. I just want to make sure that the increase is minimal. So Connor, can you maybe give me like a 30-second, what are you asking in as far as numbers here?
Well, so the tax rate right now in town for fiscal 21's taxes is $15.48 per thousand of value. What Robbie and the assessors are recommending is the board stay with that exact approach of a single tax rate, and the tax rate will actually decrease to $15.37. However, the average tax bill would still go up because you have the rate and you have value. And as you heard from Robbie, values are going up quite aggressively. So that function has to fund the amount of spending town meeting votes in the budget. The town programs budget's assuming the full 2.5% plus new growth because it's effectively our only source of revenue growth in the budget.
What was the average increase in increased value on the average home?
$20,500
Okay.
Average was the increase from last year's average single family to this year's single family. Right. The increase in taxes in value, the increase in taxes from last year to this year for the average would be $271.23. Okay, so the rate stays the same, or actually it drops a little bit. You go from 1539 to 1529. Is that correct? It was 1548. It'll go down to 1539. Right, but people will see an increase because their value of the right, because their values increased.
Is Mark frozen or is it me?
Mark's frozen.
Mark is frozen.
We'll have to take a picture of that because he's really emphatic. So we're looking at about $23 a month increase in the average tax bill if it's 271-ish.
Right.
All right, so we need to take a vote to keep the tax shift at 1 is what we're really doing here. And I know there's a motion in here.
There's a specific motion in your packet.
Is Mark back? Do we want to give him a second to get back in? If he has more questions, I don't want to cut him off.
Robbie, unless anyone on the board needs the table anymore, could we end the screen share while we wait for Mark, please?
I think I can. Here we go.
I don't see Mark logged in yet. He must be having trouble. All right, I think we'll just take the vote. then.
Oh, here he is.
All right,
He's on his way.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm having really difficulties with internet tonight. Where are we at? What did I miss? Ready to take a vote?
we're ready to take a vote, but I wanted to make sure that you didn't have any more questions and that you got all your questions answered. We were talking that the average tax bill is about $271 a year of an increase, which is
Yep.
about $23 a month. So,
Yep, I heard all that, and I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, Craig, do you want to read the motion?
Sure, I move to adopt the residential factor of 1 in percentages set forth in this LA-5 as presented.
Second, Lamb.
So that's Bodger, Lamb.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes. Lamb, yes.
Jamie? We can't hear you.
This is one for record books of technical challenges tonight. You might be double muted, right?
Yeah. He's got to log out. Okay. So we're gonna skip on him. Jen?
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. So just note for the minutes that Stebbins did not vote. He was not on the internet at the time. So the next one that we have up is another public hearing at 7:50. So we're gonna have to.
We actually have one at 7:40 as well.
We do. Oh, I was missing that one. So let's do, Craig, do you want to read that one?
Sure. In accordance with Chapter 44 of the Easton Town Code, the Easton Select Board will hold a public hearing via remote participation using the Zoom platform at 7:40 p.m. on Monday, November 15th, 2021. The hearing will include a discussion and determination as to whether the 2022 annual town election should be rescheduled, provided it is not before April 15th and not later than April 30th of 2022. Interested residents will have the opportunity to present either oral or written information on their views. Those wishing further information may contact the Select Board's office.
Okay, great. Is Danielle here to speak about this, Connor, or?
She should be here.
I don't see her.
See Leon. That's sort of another item. Well,
Well, as the board is aware, the town voted on November 30th, 2020 special town meeting to amend the town code to allow the annual town elections to be scheduled for any date in the second half of April, provided the select board hold a hearing and vote on the said date by the end of the preceding calendar year. For the last several years, the town has held the annual town elections on a Saturday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Holding the election on a Saturday has proved beneficial, limiting disruption to the schools, providing ample parking for voters, and allowing the use of both gymnasiums. So we did have a memo from Danielle in the packet, and here she is
cheers.
to explain it a little bit more. Thanks, Danielle, for being here.
Hi. Yeah, I could hear you. You guys couldn't see me. Sorry. I guess we're having a technology night, right? So as we have done for the last several years, we've talked to the DPW, the athletics director, the school department, all the Rames High School leadership, and looked at all of the potential dates that we could have within that window, the election. And we're still gearing towards and recommending a Saturday election date. And the best date for all the parties involved was Saturday, April 23rd. That is the same Saturday that we had it last year, following the school vacation week. That allows the DPW the time to set up and use the two gyms that we've been using. And we've also been doing hours from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're only required to do for a local election 4 hours, and we've been doing 6, which has worked out very nicely, being a Saturday to be able to do that. So my recommendation would be that we look at Saturday, April 23rd from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So any questions or comments from the board? Craig?
My only concern is that it's the Saturday of the vacation week. And I'm questioning about the potential for turnout. But other than that, I don't have any other questions.
You talk about what options, folks, or I'm sure the answer is it depends on what laws pass between now and then, but what options would folks have? They could always absentee vote. Is that right? And do we know yet if vote by mail is a plan in the spring?
Sure, I can talk a little bit to that. I don't disagree that, on paper, the week after April vacation can sometimes feel concerning. We have done it for the last 2 years, and it's been that weekend. And really what drives turnout, as we all know, is, what's on the ballot and what the races are that are on the ballot. Yes, absentee ballot will still be available. The deadline for that has changed slightly, 4 days prior or 5 days. I can't remember right now. There's so many election laws in process. So that would still be available. Vote by mail does end December 15th this year. However, the legislation is continually looking at expanding that, and I would not be surprised that it would be expanded in time for the annual town election. The dates that we looked at were Saturday, the 16th, which would be prior to school vacation week. Obviously, that creates just some issues using the school for setup while school is still in session. And that Monday is a holiday, so that tends to be a difficult time as well. Then we had the 23rd, which is the weekend following the vacation, and Saturday, April 30th. Both the 16th and the 30th are more difficult for the school department in regards to sharing the space while we're setting up.
Now, Danielle, is the difficulty born out of COVID?
I think initially that's, when we had the emergency legislation that allowed us to make a change of the date, we found and saw that we still had about the same average of participation, and that it did minimize the stress on both the DPW and the schools. And I think that we then moved forward with trying to make a change to give you the ability to do a public hearing and make changes moving forward, not just because of COVID, but because of minimizing, the problems that we're having with schools and parking while they're in session and setup now that we're using 2 gyms and expanding the number of precincts that we have.
Okay. I mean, I'd like to hear from what the other guys think, but I share Craig's concern. I'm in support of doing it on a Saturday. However, I do share Craig's concern. I understand that you have the absentee ballot. And also that, the question what I asked, is this born out of COVID? And is COVID still driving it? That's an important question to me because, it's all part of the decision-making process here. I'd like to know what Jamie and Jen and Dottie think.
Yeah, I'm personally a fan of Saturday, and I just even this past election where same thing going into it, everyone was like, oh, the numbers are going to be way low because of spring vacation concluding, but I didn't see that to be the case. In fact, a lot of the families that I thought were, wouldn't be in town were in town, and I think it does open up opportunities for a lot of people who, like me, I'm often in this building for 12 hours a day. So I like being able to exercise and be there as well. For some people that like to go more than just to vote, but also to meet with people. And I thought it was a really great way to do it.
Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
Just one last comment. It's funny, and I introduced this actually in support of it. One of the biggest, how do you politely say complaints, whatever that word is, about town meeting being on a Monday night is that, or being or during the work week, is people say we have to work, we can't get there, or it's a busy night. So they always say, why don't we do this on a Saturday afternoon? At least that's what I largely hear, which actually just supports this even more. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I think just to build on the question, is this more COVID related? We adopted this bylaw at town meeting inspired by COVID, but because, as you were identifying, Mark, we have all heard for years, as does Danielle, that many people claim that they would prefer to vote on a weekend. And so this gives you the option to do that. And it's been your practice for a couple of years now.
Yep.
Whether
just thinking in real time, you're actually getting to watch my brain work. So as we talk this through, I'm talking myself into it. So thank you for bearing with me.
One other piece I'll share real quick, the hours were a really big deal. And to Danielle's point, we're required to do 4 and we did 6. There were a lot of families who I found were leaving for the day and we were able to get out there before they were going wherever they were going, or people that were returning had come and they got back in time.
Now you, Jen.
I think the Saturday option is obviously fantastic. It's worked out very well and gives a lot of flexibility, especially in conjunction with absentee ballots for those who need to use them. And if mail-in voting continues, that'd be another value add. I do share the same concern that Craig and Mark both raised about the end of school vacation week. I actually don't completely agree with Jamie. I think we did have lower turnout this past election than the past few preceding, and it could have been what was on there in the races, of course. But it's just something to consider if that's having an effect. And I did know quite a few people who did, say, oh, I didn't plan for this and it's too late to get absentee ballots and blah, blah, blah. And we're away this weekend. So I think that we just have to be prepared. People are going to be itchy to travel. It's been kind of a thing that's been built up and we are seeing higher demand, especially coming out of winter. So I will just kind of raise that flag as well, though I don't have a good viable solution off the top of my head other than one of the other dates. And I'm not sure the trade-offs of how much more complicated it is to go with, like, for example, the 30th. That's all.
So I would say I love having it on a Saturday. For the days that we've had elections on a Tuesday, I feel like I never wanted to see the cars driving in and out of the high school and know that my kids were driving possibly in that crowd of chaos. I just can't believe that they're that we've been able to have safe elections, because it just seems like everything's stacked against it. So I really do prefer to not have it, during the week. I would want to make sure or see, I'm not suggesting that we say cancel all the sports. Last year during COVID, it was different because sports weren't playing then, but I would want to make sure that there was ample parking and, handicap parking and so forth, cordoned off if there are sports games on that day. And I would just say, the turnout last year, I think it was lower. I feel like there was only around 400 or a little bit more people that voted in that. But all the races were uncontested. And I also feel that it's really incumbent on the candidates who are running for election to make sure that they're reaching their voter base and telling them to get those absentee ballots in if you're going to be on vacation. And, we as a board, we should be really trying to make sure that the community knows that. We talk about it at select board meetings, but, we could be thinking about ways to make sure that people are aware, getting it in the paper, talking about it on social media and things like that. So I think the 23rd versus the 30th is 6 of one, half dozen of another. I'm not worried about it being the end of school vacation. So I'm happy to do it on the 23rd. Danielle?
I just wanted to respond that was definitely one of the questions that the group of us discussed and talked about was athletics and the parking. And that was the reason why from the athletics department, they preferred the 23rd.
Yeah. And I don't know, I don't know if they have a lot of sports. If everybody's really not going to be around on the 23rd because of vacation, that could also be in our favor as well.
For safety reasons alone, that actually is a good, tips me in the other direction.
The safety reasons, yeah. I mean, and I'll be honest, and I might be unpopular in this. I think the kids' sporting schedules is not a factor to me in an election. Elections aren't built around sports schedules. They haven't been, not historically, and I don't see why to start that now. But safety is important. We're still not out of the woods with COVID, and we see how this goes this year, doing it on the 23rd. And reevaluate next year.
Sounds good. Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to set the annual town election at April 23rd?
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Barger and Lamb?
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
AC, yes.
And Full Janetti, yes. So thanks so much for being here tonight, Danielle. We appreciate it.
She's got one more.
I'll see you later on.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So the next one is the 750, and that's for the transfer of a Class 1 license from Bay State Ford to John Ed Easton Motor Cars. Craig, do you want to read that?
The Select Board of Easton, as licensing authorities, will hold a public hearing via remote participation using the Zoom platform on Monday, November 15th, 2021 at 7:50 p.m. to consider and act upon an application for a transfer of a Class 1 license from Bay State Ford Incorporated to John Ed Easton Motor Cars, LLC, doing business as 24 Ford of Easton, 703 Washington Street, Easton, Mass, to engage in the principal business of selling new motor vehicles pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 140, with a plan on file at the Select Board's office.
I believe Joe or Kevin Riley might be here on behalf of the applicant.
Yes.
Yes, good evening.
Hello, Kevin. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you. So tell us a little bit about this.
Well, as was just indicated, the request is just to transfer the license at 703 Washington from Bay State to my client, John Ed Easton Motor Cars. We are at a position, John Ed has agreed to purchase the existing dealership and the land, actually. And we're at the point of being able to close on that transaction within the next couple of weeks. The applicant is a Massachusetts limited liability company. It is comprised of two individuals who collectively hold controlling interests, and I'm going to say about 20 motor vehicle dealerships. So they certainly well know the car business. This location, I believe, has housed a Ford dealership for many a year, going back to the former Tanner Ford all the way up to the present day Bay State Ford. This will be the client's first venture into the Ford Motor world, but they are certainly looking forward to that, and also to establishing a relationship with the town of Easton and the folks in town. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions that you have. Otherwise, I just request the approval of the transfer. And I'd also just mention, I would greatly thank Mike Blanchard for helping me out with getting everything filed and before the board tonight.
Great, thank you. Craig, comments, questions?
Is there any requirement, Kevin, for Ford Motor Company to approve this, or is it simply the town?
No, they will be approved as Ford dealers, but one of the necessary things to happen before that will be the town approval. But Ford will definitely bless it prior to the closing.
Thank you.
Mark?
I have no questions.
No questions either. Thanks.
I have no questions either.
Okay. And your clients, when you said that they have controlling interests in other automobile dealerships, are they new car or used car?
Primarily new, but they do have one that is specifically a used car dealership, but primarily new across a number of different franchises: Nissan, Jeep, Buick, GMC. So they're, as I say, they're well-experienced folks, and I'm sure they'll continue to do a good job on this location.
I feel like I drove by there recently and all the cars were gone one day and then they were back again a couple of days later or the next day. Am I imagining that?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, dealers are crying for new car inventory at this point,
Right.
for sure. But I don't know of any reason why they necessarily all would have gone and then come back. But hopefully they'll be there when we purchase the dealership.
It's a very successful location and really one of
That's a great location, for
one
sure.
around here. I'll date myself, but I'm originally from Stoughton. They had Dench Ford and Victory Ford.
Yep.
So when I grew up, my father said we were required to all buy Fords. So that was his rule until we could pay for our own cars. Well, with that, then I would take a motion to transfer the Class 1 license from Bay State Ford to John Ed Easton Motor Cars LLC, doing business as 24 Ford of Easton, 703 Washington Street.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
AC, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. So congratulations to your clients, and we wish them continued success. And we are really grateful that they chose to take their business in Easton. So,
Well, thanks again. And as I said, we certainly look forward to coming to the town, and I appreciate the good work of the board. So thanks.
great.
Thank you, Kevin.
Have a good night.
Okay. Good night now.
Okay, now we are at license and permit. So the first one-day liquor license, the Easton Lions Club, Easton Live, Easton Lions Club music event at Oak Ames Memorial Hall, 3 Barrows Street, Northeastern, on December 3rd from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. They've applied for this one-day beer and wine license for the holiday festival, Easton Live, which is the music festival, and the music event. It will be held at Oak Ames Hall on December 3rd from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. and a detail officer will not be required. Do we have somebody from?
We do.
Certainly do.
And John, this might be a typo on my part of my notes. I'm only seeing it more closely now. There's 3 licenses here. Yes, 1 for Saturday and then 2 for Sunday, or 1 for Friday and 2 for Saturday. Okay.
Connor, that is correct.
I got my names confused. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So we're going to vote on them all separately, but why don't
Sure.
you give us the overview of all of the events for the weekend?
That would include alcohol,
Yes.
Dottie, or just overall?
Well, why don't you include all of them?
Well, sure. Be glad to do that. We have been working with the Oak Saints Memorial Hall for the weekend, and they've been generous in their support of us in this event for many, many years. Hard to believe this is the 35th year that this has been going on. 33 of those under the direction of the Easton Lions Club. So we're so happy to do this again. It's truly a labor of love. And we try to mix it up. When Lynn Payne kindly took over the chair position of this 3 years ago, her mission was to modernize it. It sure needed it. And part of that has been some of the expansion of the event and some retraction. We brought it down to a one-day event. So we're really trying to pack more into that 24-hour period than we've ever done before. So it is starting on the Friday night in conjunction with Easton Live, which is something that Mark Vinicor has helped give birth to and support the Easton Lions Club. In fact, it is now under the auspices of the club and something that we're working collaboratively to promote music in Easton. So the Easton Live event is taking place on Friday night, December 3rd. It's a ticketed event, anticipating between 75 and 80 guests. It will be taking place at the Oak Saints Memorial Hall from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And Shoveltown Brewery will be doing the dispensing of beer and wine, which will be sold at the event through a TIPS certified person under their employ, providing support of that beer and wine distribution. Again, this is a ticketed event. We're thinking 75 to 80 patrons will be attending that. And then we kick off Saturday morning bright and early. Our Easton Boy Scouts Troop 992 is doing their annual breakfast upstairs in the hall. That event starts at 8 o'clock. That is a ticketed event where folks can make a donation to get a tremendous buffet breakfast. As that winds down, we're going to be getting ready for the events taking place at the Rockery, which kick off about 10 o'clock. Hay wagon, train ride, musical entertainment. Of course, those hamburgers and hot dogs and chili and fried dough that we all enjoy and that raises the cholesterol levels so much. And we're going to have our parade starting this year at 10:30. That parade will start at NRT this year. The folks at NRT, Jen and Lou and the crew have been helpful in helping us create a new kickoff location for the parade, as well as the Rain Dog Parade, which is being run this year in honor of the deceased Gus Arns. And at the Rockery area, we would have requested a permit to sell beer and wine on the loggia of the Oak Saints Memorial Hall. We had applied for that in 2019 and in 18 as well. Had the beer and wine the first year that we offered it, again by Shoveltown Brewery. The consumption was just on the loggia of the hall. And then in 2019, we asked the safety officer, Officer Lyons, to expand that to the area around the Rockery, which was granted to us and it was apparently well managed. In addition to police details, we have our own Lions members offering security positions to help police that and make sure people are in accordance with the law. And that would be from up until 6 p.m. when we close down the Rockery event and the holiday festival. And then in the evening hour, we are working a joint event with the Queesit House and our public library, a ticketed event that is focused on jazz. In fact, it's called the Jazzed Up in Easton event. And that is a ticketed event limited to 80 people, and that'll be from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday night. That permit requested is all alcohol, beer, wine, and liquor as well. And they'll be all consumed within the Queesit House. So full agenda of activity taking place from Friday evening right through Saturday evening. All are welcome. This is many of the things that we do for the festival are free to the public. Like the music, the hayride, the train ride, the s'mores, a lot of events taking place there around the general area of the Rockery and the Oak Saints Memorial Hall in our library.
Well, this is great. Really exciting, to see the changes, and it gets a little bit different. I think it's really very thoughtful to have the Rain Dog Parade in memory of Gus. He did tremendous work over the years, and he was really excited and meant a lot to him. So it's very nice the way the Lions really pay tribute and reflection on the members that have contributed, even when they've gone. So with that said, any comments or any questions from the board?
Nope.
Okay, I wish you great weather for those days too. You never know what you're going to get in December here. It could be short sleeves or winter coats.
Is that a separate application, Dottie?
Yes.
I remember seeing that one
Blanchard.
online.
He'll be able to control that.
There
one.
you go.
All right, so the first one for the Easton Lions Club on December 3rd from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. and a police detail officer is not required. Would somebody like to make a motion on that?
So moved, Barger.
Second, Stebbins.
Roger Stebbins, and back to you, Craig.
Barger, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. And I'd just like to note for the minutes that Select Board Member Lamb must be having an internet challenge again, so he is not part of that vote. So the next one, the Holiday Festival on December 4th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's noted here that Chief Sullivan has directed the applicant to contact the police department to advise them of the anticipated number of attendees, after which point the police will advise the applicant on whether a detail is needed or not. So would you like to make that? Oh, sorry, go ahead, John.
Please allow me to speak to that. Officer Lyons is away until tomorrow. I had a conversation Thursday of last week with the desk officer, and also sent an email in detail to Officer Lyons explaining what we'll be doing and giving him a projection. Given it's hard to make an estimate of how many people will be there at the Open Rockery event, again, we'll be up there on the loggia with Shoveltown Brewery and their tip certified people, making sure that this is properly organized. Thank you.
Great. Would somebody like to make a motion on that?
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Barger, Lamb,
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
and full Janetti, yes. And again, for the minutes, Select Board Member Lamb just reappeared. So the third one, the Jazz It Up Music Festival, that is December 4th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And that is a one-day all alcohol license. And a detail officer is not required for that event.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Barger, Lamb,
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
and full Janetti, yes. So looks like you got the whole package there, John. You've got the road closure. Everything's good to go. We wish you great success that Friday and Saturday. And really tell all the members of the public, if you have not been to a Lions Club celebration, you're really missing out. Just like John said, those cheeseburgers are the best cheeseburgers. I don't know what you guys do to them, but and the fried dough, of course, and the chili, and just the it's really just such a nice day to get out there, see your neighbors, stroll around the area, check out the local businesses, support the Boy Scouts with the breakfast. It's really a real quintessential New England weekend. So we hope to see everybody there.
Thank you. And it does happen out the support of our community and our board. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, and next up is a contract award, Town of Plymouth Regional Primary Road Salt bid.
Dottie, if it's okay with you and the board, I would ask that we maybe take 9 and 10 out of order, because for 11, which is re-precincting, and 12, which is a fire truck, we have department heads here, so we can have them come and take care of their items and be on their way, and then I can talk about salt to close us out.
Of course. So we're going to go to item
11.
11. And that's the vote of the municipal 2020 re-precincting map. So we're going to bring Leon in and Danielle, or?
Yes, I think they're both coming over. And for the board's reminder, this is the second or third time Leon and Danielle have been here. They're going to give a brief overview of what we're doing tonight. But in your packet, the TA notes are long here, but you have a paragraph you can view and compare the current districts to the proposed map, Easton map. That's an interactive GIS map where you can put the layers on and really see what's changing. I personally find that the most helpful, but I just wanted to remind you of that resource there, and then I'll turn it over to Danielle.
Terrific. Welcome back, Danielle.
Hi, nice to see you again. So Leon and I are here, as Connor mentioned. I believe this is our third time talking about re-precincting. We do have a new map that we're asking for you to approve. As we mentioned at the last time that we were here on October 18th, there was a chance that the legislative districts were going to be drawn before our map was approved, and that's exactly what happened. And even if we had it approved by the LEDRC, they did move forward, the legislation did move forward with their redistricting. And so that left us, if we did not make a change, with 4 split precincts. So Leon's done his map magic and has been able to minimize that. Unfortunately, we still will have 1 split precinct, and that was the best that we really could do in order to minimize the split precincts and the sub precincts. So the map before you will show that precinct 4 does have a split district, and the remaining precincts through 7, with the additional precinct of 7, is within the same legislative districts. I agree with Connor. That is the easiest map to kind of look at, the interactive one, that you can put the different layers. You can even compare it to the 2010 precinct lines with the new proposed precinct lines and then the district lines as well.
Great. Leon, did you have anything you wanted to add? Welcome tonight.
Thank you. No, I think what you see with the map here reflects what we're truly trying to minimize the impacts of the clerk's office having to maintain statewide elections by just having the 1 single split precinct. So there might be a little less aesthetically pleasing compact districts, but it really does solve that problem.
Great. So Craig, what do you have for comments or questions?
I've gone through this so many times with Danielle and with our legislative leaders that I don't have anything else to add to this. I just appreciate the work that Leon and Danielle have done again and again and again.
Terrific. Mark?
I've been kicked out so many times today, it's like I'm not here. I have no questions. I know this was cumbersome, and thank you. Well done.
Jamie?
Trying to figure out I'm 7 now, I guess. Thank you. The overlay was great. I did look that up before the meeting, and it's fantastic. I did have to all go back and forth 15 times to really understand it, but now I've got it.
Jen?
No questions, just thank you. I know a tremendous amount of work and thought has gone into this.
Yeah, and you've been working on this for many months now, and we really appreciate the thoughtfulness that goes into that. And at the end of the day, it seems like from reading the paper, most communities are not super happy with everything that changed in their districts. And I feel like this is probably the least amount of impact compared to some of the things that I see in other places. So I think that you guys did a really great job on this. So with that, we need to vote on the re-precincting, and there's nothing special for a motion, right? Let's try to look at this again.
Apologies, Danielle, is there a particular motion the state needs, or just for the board to adopt the revised re-precincting map as presented?
Let me look in my packet from the last one. Huge. Vote to accept as presented by the town clerk. What you just said was fine. The re-precincting plan for the town of Easton, the revised re-precincting plan.
Okay, so Craig, would you like to make a motion for the board to
So
accept the
moved.
revised precincting plan for the 2020 re-precincting map?
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Roger Lamb?
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
And full Janetti, yes. Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
One more thing, Danielle?
No, I just wanted to say, let's keep our fingers crossed that it gets approved by the LEDRC and we don't have to come back again. But we do appreciate, all the efforts and patience while we moved through the process.
All right, great.
And to Jamie's point, everybody is going to get notice of what their precinct is in their census. And so you won't have to try to figure it out if you're not a map person.
I recommend tattoos.
Not a bad idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you.
Okay, and item 12, contract award for Toyn Incorporated EFD 2022-02. We have a memo and a contract submitted by Fire Chief Justin Alexander. The contract is for a new fire department motor equipment. Town meeting approved the capital request of $750,000 to allow the EFD the ability to purchase a new fire engine. This contract is for the purchase of a new Toyn fire engine. It's being purchased under the Houston Galveston Area Council HGAC procurement contract that Massachusetts has approved under procurement laws. The total contract amount is $750,000 and it will be funded through approved capital funds. Hello, Chief Alexander. Thanks for being here.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, Chief.
Good evening. Any background on this you'd like, Madam Chair?
I think I just captured it all. Did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
No, happy to be here and answer any questions.
Okay,
Chief, could you just give an overview for the board and public's edification? We don't buy $750,000 vehicles that frequently. What is the lead time on this? What does this look like for the community? This was approved in the capital budget in May. When do you think this is here? What does that process look like? And what does it mean for the department? What happens to the current engine you're using?
So currently, our engines are starting to age, and this engine will be a good shot in the arm for the fleet to help out. We have the two main frontline engines really get run pretty hard for some background. So this will become one of the new frontline engines. The timeline on fire engines is long before COVID and shortages. They were always typically over a year to a year and a half. Now they're a year and a half to 2 years. I would anticipate this engine, it was approved in May, and we won't see it until probably February, March of 23. So that's how long it'll take. It's going to take about 390 days to fully manufacture the apparatus, get shipped here, and then we'll have to be about a month of outfitting here, and then some lettering and some other pieces that have to get put on it, and then we'll be able to put it into service. So it's quite a lead time, and it's unfortunate, and it's pervasive throughout the fire service and all of our equipment right now. But it will, and then the current way the fleet is and the current age of the fleet, we'll actually be moving one of the trucks, the older trucks, into reserve and holding on to it. There's no real significant trade-in value or anything to it at this point. It's so old, but it will still serve a purpose for us through training and as a backup if one of our trucks does go down. So it still has some useful life in the back that'll run occasionally. So it's a little bit of the background on it.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board?
I have none.
Chief, you've been here 6 months and you're already buying new fire trucks. No questions. I understand it's needed, and it's a long lead time, so I got nothing.
Yeah, and that's noticeable on the capital budgets too, because you have to factor that lead time into when you ask for the next fire engine, and it's just unfortunate how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Jen?
I've got a quick one, Chief, just about Toyn. In the company, I noticed they've been in business since 1995, and I don't know how many manufacturers. There's Oshkosh, right? And I don't know how many others, but what do we know about Toyn, and do we have any Toyn trucks?
So we don't have any Toyn trucks in Easton. I've worked with Toyn before for an apparatus, and the chassis that have come on Spartan chassis, and I've in my past roles have purchased multiples of those. Have a comfort level with those chassis and manufacturers and how they operate and where we get the parts and where we get them fixed. Had good luck with them. It's a departure. It's a different brand than currently is in the fleet. But it's the design, actually Oshkosh is related to this particular chassis. And Oshkosh is known for their heavy duty chassis, which is what we're actually procuring this time, is a very heavy duty chassis. To try to take the abuse, unfortunately, the roads, the work, the calls. It's tough on these trucks. So we're going to step up our chassis strength level, and Toyn and Spartan. So Spartan makes the chassis, which is basically your engine, frame, wheels, and Toyn puts the body and the pump on it. And that creates one fire truck. And that's how fire trucks are usually done in two pieces, no matter which company you get it from. So we're hoping to have very good luck with Toyn. I have good history with them. Hope to continue that.
That's great. I appreciate it. And I will say one of the last engines we purchased, we were having some corrosion issues, I think prematurely. And I hope that we have better luck with this engine.
Yeah, this is a complete redesign. When you see this piece of apparatus when it arrives, it won't look like anything we have in the fleet now. And that even continues right under the sheet metal, if you will. It's a very, very different truck, and I think it will hold up much more durable through the fleet. There's nothing wrong with the brand we have now. I don't want to make that like we have bad trucks. It's just they're not designed quite as for the heavy duty that we have now. 15 years ago, Easton wasn't even as busy as it is today. And these trucks are just running so hard. We're potentially reaching 4,000 emergency runs this year. It's a lot of runs, and these trucks go. So that's kind of why we took a little change on how we did this truck.
Thank you very much, Chief. I look forward to riding on it.
Absolutely. Everybody gets a chance.
Now, Jen.
I have no questions. Everything's been covered. Thank you.
Well, I think it's great that, we have a process for trying to figure out when the useful life is, when those get put into capital. We don't want to be putting tons of money into, failing trucks or aging trucks. It costs a lot more money to maintain them. And we for certain want to have vehicles that are safe for our firefighters, and to, when you have an emergency, having it show up on time. And, we really appreciate your knowledge in how to do that. I know that you have a background in mechanics, and so you're right on top of that. And that makes me feel more comfortable that we're being proactive at looking for that, including thinking about lead times. So appreciate that. So with that, if somebody would like to make a motion to award the contract of the fire engine to Toyne Incorporated, EFD 2022-02, in the amount of $750,000.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Barger, Lamb,
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
AC, yes.
and full Janetti, yes. And before we have you go, Chief, do you want to just talk about the promotion? You had a little event last week, and it was really wonderful. And just for the public, just to let us know some of the exciting news that happened there while we have you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I guess the captain of a ship on the ocean gets to marry people. I get to promote people. So I had the pleasure to promote Lieutenant Jeff Dupuis. And, it's a true honor. And he is our new lieutenant. So that's the first step in our officers' ranks. We go firefighter, lieutenant, captain, and then the deputy chief, and then myself. So he has taken that first step in his leadership role within the department. I have full faith in his ability to do it and have the department behind him, helping him along the way. Your promotion day one is a day to learn. You'll learn what you don't know. It's an experience. We were all there, and very excited for Lieutenant Dupuis and his time going forward and seeing his career continue to develop. And he'll take good care of our staff and our residents as well. So we're in good hands with him. And then if I may, just we had a couple accommodations for some outstanding service that night. We had for those who didn't catch the news, we had a baby delivered in our ambulance. It was great. The guys did on that particular call did outstanding work, and we were able to recognize them again. Not that they didn't get enough press the first time, but we gave them a little extra the other night with some accommodation letters put in their file and some certificates at display. And we also had one of our engine companies do some really great work with a family in town who had a really tough call. And instead of just working the call and leaving, they recognized the need to stay and help the spouse of this particular person who was ill, and take care of them and stay there and help them out with their home, which was, from what had happened, was in disarray, and waiting for a family member to come to take care of her because she was elderly. And they recognized that and stayed with her and cared for her until the family arrived. So really outstanding work above and beyond the call of duty. And we recognize them as well. So it was a great night to have, and I appreciate you all for coming out and your continued support for it. Really great for the department. So, and it really exemplifies what we can do for the community and what great service the community is getting from the fire department through the support of the fire department. So thank you.
Thank you. It's
Thank
great.
you, Chief.
And that's one of the things that I miss the most, where we don't have our meetings in person anymore, is we used to have those kind of ceremonies during a select board meeting. So it was really nice to see Jeff's family and his wife and kids and his parents and brother. It's just an exciting time to be there to support our fire staff, and the commendations were great. And I look forward to seeing the stork on the new on the ambulance, and they'll each get a stork pin. I heard.
Yes, absolutely. They have their stork pins already, and as soon as the stickers arrive for the ambulance, we'll put them on. We'll get some pictures of that put out.
That's great.
Excellent.
Well, thanks so much. We appreciate you being here. It's all good news.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Board. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Chief.
So we are going to go back to item 9 for the contract award, Town of Plymouth primary road salt bid with Morton Salt.
Sure. So attached in your packet, you will find a memo from DPW Director Dave Field associated with both items 9 and 10, which is our primary and secondary salt contracts. As the board is aware, we need to purchase road salt in bulk before the winter season for our road treatment. We typically have a primary and a secondary contract so that if we have supply issues, which we may have heard of recently, we still have what we need on hand if we have a bad weather event. So collectively, you have, individually, the Morton Salt contract is $151,250, and the secondary contract is for Eastern Minerals for $94,500. Anticipating any questions about pricing. So unit cost has increased by more than 30% for salt since last year. However, so what you're looking at is about $61 per ton, $61.33. That is quite an increase since fiscal 21, but that's actually not the highest it's been. The price of salt was higher, non-inflation adjusted in 2008, 9, 10, 15 and 16. So this is not unprecedented, but it is obviously a big jump year over year. This would be funded out of a snow and ice budget.
So this isn't like the traditional road salt that's like splattered on the ground. This is part of the brine, right? Or is...
No, I think it's road salt.
Okay.
But let me double check through the memos, but I believe this is for the actual road salt, and we make our own brine. I don't know if this salt goes into that or not.
Okay.
But I know we always, even since we've had our own brining machine, we purchase salt every year.
Okay. Well, that's the way we know that we're going to get a storm, when we see those squiggly lines down all of our streets. Any comments or questions from anyone on the board?
Nope.
Okay. If somebody would like to make a motion to award a contract to the Town of Plymouth Regional Primary Road Salt bid to Morton Salt LLC for contract DPW 2022-08 in the amount of $151,250.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Roger Lamb,
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Evans, yes.
Casey, yes.
and Full Janetti, yes. And the next contract award, Town of Plymouth Regional for the secondary road salt bid to Easton Minerals Incorporated, DPW 2022-09 in the amount of $94,500.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Roger Lamb,
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Evans, yes.
Casey, yes.
and Full Janetti, yes. Okay, hold on with him. So next we have acceptance of the minutes for November 8th, 2021.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Roger Lamb,
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Evans, yes.
Casey, yes.
and Full Janetti, yes. And town administrator notes?
Dottie, I assume you or other board members will touch on the Veterans Day ceremony last week, which was wonderful. So I will not. I'll just add, I had the opportunity to attend a event held at the library on Saturday with Congressman Auchincloss and Majority Leader Cronin. It was a good event. A couple dozen folks came out just to ask questions about where things stand federally, state level and locally. Obviously, the congressman was touting the just signed today infrastructure bill, which is a huge deal that's going to bring billions of infrastructure spending on roads, bridges, and water to Massachusetts. The exact details of how that will funnel down the state level and what of that comes to us is, remains to be seen as it was signed today. But I think that's a great thing coming all of our way across the country and here in Easton. And folks there were really engaged on water infrastructure and PFAS, and it was a good event. So,
And I must say that Connor did a masterful job in answering some of the questions that came from members who were there from the community relative to specific Easton issues. So I appreciated his input at that meeting.
Great. Any other selectmen notes for you, Craig?
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
Mark?
No comments tonight.
Jamie, do you want to talk about the Veterans Day celebration?
Yes, it was fantastic. Turnout was excellent. And I thought we had a wonderful guest speaker, Brigadier General Couples, who I believe is the assistant to the Adjutant General for the Army here in the state of Massachusetts, and then holds some other positions. Anyway, it was wonderful. All the fire departments involved in police department, the Oliver Ames High School band. It was a powerful day, and my kids were there. I saw a lot of kids there, and I just think that really brought it home. The Boy Scouts being out in front of us around the flag. So what an incredible day to share with families, and the support of the community was fantastic.
And I want to thank you, Jamie, for, always stepping up at these events to give your comments, and always very, very thoughtful, very much from the heart. And I love to hear what you're going to say next. So I really appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that? Or
I have one other comment because everyone's going to appreciate it. So Craig and I were at Saturday's event with Congressman Auchincloss, and I brought my kids because I thought, again, important for them to meet some folks. And my daughter Kira ran up to Jake, grabbed his leg, and looked up and realized she didn't have her father's leg, and didn't get over it real quick either. Was completely, I think, embarrassed more than anything, but came over, and I had to console her, crying that she had just grabbed the congressman's leg instead of mine. And so anyway, I thought everyone would get a kick out of that.
You wouldn't be the first one to mistake him for you.
And we might have told your story a few times, Mark. So that's all. Thank you.
Great. Jen?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
I pulled a couple of things out of the town crier, as I usually do, and I just wanted to highlight the Oliver Ames Cross Country Team 27th Annual Tiger Turkey Chase is on Thanksgiving morning, November 25th. If you look in the Easton Town Crier, there's a link to register online for any runners or running groups that want to be associated. It's always a great time, and I love seeing the pictures on social media afterwards. Also, the town of Easton has a community calendar that's free, and it's at Northeastern Savings Bank. It includes a lot of significant school dates, listing of local organizations, and information about the community. And I really want to give a shout out to the Easton Historical Society, and especially Hazel Varela. She reaches out to me every year to ask me to write a greeting from the select board and get her a photo. So she's really puts a lot of work into that. So if you're looking for your calendar as we get to the end of the year, it's a great place to get it. And then last but not least, we have important notices from the Easton Food Pantry. The food pantry has moved. The first distribution will be at the rear of the Fellowship Church on 604 Foundry Street in Southeastern on Monday, November 15th, from 11:30 to 3. So if you have questions about that, please see the food pantry website, eastonfoodpantry.org, and they have a Facebook page as well. Distribution days will continue on Mondays from 11:30 to 3 going forward. And I just want to remind people that they're still servicing a lot of families. So if you want to make contributions or, have any opportunity to donate food or money, you can do that. And the food pantry will gladly take those donations, and really want to thank them. They've done an incredible amount of work always, but particularly since COVID, there's been a lot more need, and they've been there and they've stepped it up, and really a wonderful organization in our town. So thankful to them and to Kenwood. So with that, anybody else have anything else? Did I miss anything? All right. Well, happy Thanksgiving to you and your families, and we'll meet again in a couple of weeks. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Barger.
Second, Lamb.
Barger, Lamb,
Barger, yes.
Lamb, yes.
Stebbins, yes.
Stacy, yes.
and full Janetti, yes. Good night, everyone. Have a great week.
Stay
Good
safe.
night.
Thanksgiving.